So when you're on YouTube, you're really trying to figure things out and really make a business out of content creation. And sometimes you might start on a different platform. You might start on Instagram. You might start on TikTok. You might even start on Facebook. And why I love YouTube so much is because of the YouTube partner program, but also the way that they're able to really know who our viewer is and deliver the content that's so valuable for the viewer to the correct person. And when you figure this out, when you actually understand what's actually happening here, YouTube will actually do all the heavy lifting for you. All you need to understand really specifically is who you're speaking to and bring a value consistently. And that value will actually build a business. Now, I'm really excited to have Chris and Leslie on. I met them several years ago, and I was really blown away by what they were doing. And it was a thing that happens constantly on YouTube, but they were really dialed in of understanding the value proposition and then be able to hit it very consistently. And it's been a pleasure of mine, not only to mentor them, but to watch them grow and succeed and ultimately make a business out of this. And it's something that I hope all of you that are watching this live stream will shoot for one day. And if you're already here, that you'll actually be a part of it too as well. Because it's like there's so much opportunity. It's not oversaturated. What you need to do is really realistically look at who your audience is, deliver value. And sometimes that value is more than just a video. It's a process, a system, and also maybe other products. And so really excited to have the blowout professor on with us. How are you doing, Chris?
Great. It's awesome to be on here. I appreciate it.
I am so excited for this for multiple reasons because of not only your story, but Leslie's story of how it intertwines with your YouTube channel. So just in short, would you guys kind of introduce what you do? And then let's dive right in of how you actually got started.
Yeah, so we started out with just a hair salon. So we had a hair salon, physical location, brick and mortar. And we kind of stumbled across social media and YouTube, which is why we created our own hair care line. So we have a salon, a hair care line, and a YouTube channel, and it's been an amazing combination for us.
Yeah, I love this for a couple reasons. Because when you started on social media, you didn't start immediately on YouTube. Like, what did you do? Where were you kind of going with it in the beginning? I think all business owners are like, oh, I need more visibility, so I'm going to go online. So what were you doing?
So initially, product line was not even on our radar. We had one salon, and we were like, wouldn't it be nice if we had like 10,000 salons all over the country? And so, like, now thinking about the management of that is not so much fun.
No thanks.
But at the time, that was the motivation. We wanted to have a national profile, go on social media, so we could open up a salon halfway across the country, and people would already know who we are, so we would have a full list instead of having to work from scratch.
Yeah, and so I would assume, well, if you're going to do a salon, then there's only a couple social media platforms that you should consider. One being Instagram, right? Like you should be all over Instagram. So what was your first choice of a platform when you were like trying to figure out where to actually do this?
Well, it was a while back. So it was Instagram. It was Facebook and Instagram. That was basically it. TikTok and all that was too new. So we posted on Instagram probably for 4 or 5 years with absolutely zero traction.
Yeah, and just for point of reference, we opened the salon 9 years ago. So that's like giving you context. So 9 years ago we opened. So 4 to 5 years ago, Facebook and Instagram were the big thing, and that's where we would put.
Oh, YouTube was the big thing. You just haven't figured it out yet. Come on, Leslie. Come on.
YouTube was too scary. It was like, oh, that's too much. I didn't know how to do it.
I don't like. It's intimidating. YouTube is definitely intimidating. Like I'll give you that. And so you tried on Facebook and Instagram, and you weren't getting traction. And let's talk about what traction is for you, because I think you had views and visibility, but it's all over the world. It's like, okay, like it's all over the world, but it wasn't converting, right? Because you were looking for conversion traffic. Was that correct when you first started?
Honestly, in the beginning, we were desperate for just anything. Eventually, we did get that, and that's the cream of the crop. But in the very beginning, we were just like, does anybody want to watch our videos? Please, like begging people, yeah.
I don't think it was till we went on TikTok till we started getting like a huge audience, right?
Yeah, to go on to the next part, TikTok was this was a couple years ago, so it was still Instagram was a social graph. So
Yeah,
we switched to posting things on TikTok, which was the interest graph, and we basically blew up pretty much instantly. I put on the wig and the Christina thing.
exactly,
So
exactly.
it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
back and yeah.
So let's talk about the moment that you decided I'm going on YouTube, because like you're at 800,000 subscribers right now, and I don't necessarily view subscribers as the key metric, but I know that kind of a lot of creators do. But you have well over 167 videos. So you've done YouTube for a while now. Talk about that first moment of not knowing anything, coming onto the platform that you were intimidated by, and why you chose it, and then what was your strategy?
The thought process was really, hey, we're a beauty brand. We know visual is going to be huge for us. We need to have some type of visual content. Um, and so when we first came to YouTube, we were like, look, 20-minute videos is too much for us. We're just going to do 1-minute videos. And
Yeah.
so we committed to doing 1-minute video every week. And it kind of grew from there. And we were basically when you get monetized, you have to have like a certain number of subscribers, certain amount of views and
Right.
stuff. We're basically just, I think really we would have quit if that bar wasn't there. If we weren't watching that bar go
Oh,
across the
so that
street.
was kind of the motivator. Like, hey, we want to get monetized. Is that what it
Yeah,
was?
it's like, let's see what this is. What's over here? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like that. And then when you did 1 minute videos, were they shorts or were they long form that you were coming on?
There were no shorts then. It was long form.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, very good. So once you got monetized and you made probably 25 cents, like what was that? Was that like hey, we can make money at this, or what was the thought process there?
Yeah, it was it was $70. Thank you very much.
Yeah, all
But,
right. It is the beauty line. You have a little bit higher CPMs than I do. Yeah.
yeah, but we realized like there's something here. But also we had the TikTok going at the same time. TikTok
Yep.
at the time we had about 600,000 or 700,000 followers and millions of views. And
Yep.
on YouTube we were only getting we had less than 4,000 followers.
Yep.
But in terms of sales, we were making more sales from the 4,000 followers on YouTube than we were on everybody on TikTok. And
Well,
so that
let's
was when
talk about that, because when I heard your sales funnel, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many creators that never get this, and you're doing it right out of the gate. Like it was like you weren't really worried about the ad revenue per se, but the sales side of it was. So why don't you kind of explain to everyone your process of what you're doing at that time to get those sales?
So it was kind of a funnel. So we started out actually with all our videos were actually about styling because we're a salon. Like, let me teach you how to be a stylist. And we realized they didn't want that at all.
Right.
They want products. So we said, hey, you want products? Okay, like I know everything about products. Let me make a list of like, here's a list of products for here's your hair type. Go buy these products. This is what we would use in the salon. And so that was our lead magnet.
Yeah, I would say a big part of it was just like reading comments, honestly, on the videos, because it was like, where can I buy this product? Where can I buy this product? So then we were like, what? They like actually care about this. And then that's when we kind of flipped what we were doing. And then we were like, well, why don't we sell them products? And that was like our big, probably aha moment, I think.
Yeah, so we started selling the sales pitch was basically, here you can get the exact same products I would use on you if you came to my salon.
So let's kind of unpack that. So because this one's might be new for some people, it might be an old hat for other, but you had a physical store, a salon, and you had customers coming in, and you're using product there. And what you created was a video on basically a listicle of saying, hey, here's some products, whatever. And then they went to your site, and I want to show the site because it's very simple. It's probably the most simple site ever. So this is the site right here where you put your name in and your email address and you get the list. And so that is like the most basic thing I've ever seen in my life, which is great, right? But could you explain the process? Because I don't think you changed this much. It was like sign up for the list and we're going to send you. What did you send them and how did that convert into sales? And then what was the first initial type of sales?
Yeah, so they would enter their email address, and then we would send them a list of take this quiz, and here you'll find the best products for your hair type. And it wasn't just a list by itself. They had seen in the video, like they knew what result they wanted, and then they could just go to the list to get that product to get the exact result.
Okay. So basically, they saw the link in the description, like, hey, click on the link in the description. They went over, put their name and email address in it, and then they took a survey, and then it basically said, these are the best products for you based on your surveyed results. And so it was a personalized approach. And what was the sales like in the beginning with that? Because these weren't your own products. This is products that you actually had stocked in your salon. Like, what did that actually look like?
Yeah, so in terms of numbers, it became bigger than our salon almost instantly. So we thought the salon was the real business, but as soon as we started selling these products, it absolutely took off, and we couldn't pack the boxes fast enough. We had to bring people in to help us pack and ship it.
Yeah.
So the salon was a place where you could shoot your videos because you were making more money on just this process, putting videos out there, them clicking, get the email address, and then doing the survey, and then going from there. That's amazing. But what would you do with the email list afterwards? Because would they re-up? Because I mean, your products, of course they're going to use them and they're going to deplete. Do they reorder, or how does that actually work?
We didn't have any subscriptions or anything at the time, but we would just keep sending emails every week. It wasn't a sales email at all either. It was an email about, hey, if you have this problem, here's how to fix it. If you want to fix it, here's how to find the product that does that for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So and you guys know this because, we've worked together for a while, but it's like, I stress like building your business off of YouTube. Like YouTube is a component of it. And really doing that. And so, I'll never forget when we were in a conversation and Chris, you're like, told me the number of total sales in a month, and my jaw about dropped because it's like, you're not getting that many views. It's like, what is the process? And then when I heard, oh no, it's like giving them a survey and they know the type of hair that they have and the type of condition that they have, and then it literally selects the right type of product. I'm like, that's genius. Like that is genius from it. And then I knew then, the AdSense revenue, if you really would grow properly, would just amplify. It would just start exploding it. Cause like the more visibility that you can go from there. And it kind of clicked for me. And then two, I saw that ad revenue, and it wasn't something that you would like be afraid of either. It's like, oh my gosh, it's starting to go more and more. I mean, it went more than $75. Let's just make it clear from there. Right.
Yes.
It just went more and more and more. And so, when that happened, I want to talk about this because this is a unique problem that I think you face. You are doing sales in your salon. You had more demand than what you could store in the salon. It probably caused some questions with other people of how you were selling it. Just because like there's a very territorial thing when it comes to beauty products and what you can and can't do. And let's talk about that friction, because I think a lot of people here, we want to get into the YouTube strategy, but this is probably one of the more important things that they should consider as they're looking at this. But could you kind of go through kind of that little awkward period of time? Can you talk about this awkward period of time?
Yeah. Yeah, it got to be like, so like Chris was saying before, we were like packing like 500 boxes in a weekend. Like we would literally, like the salon would close, Chris and I would get there, and that's what we would do. That's how we spent every single weekend. And it came to the point where our sales were too much that, so Salon Centric is pretty much, they're who we buy from our regular back bar products and all the products. And they were like, this doesn't make sense. You guys are a small salon in Fort Myers. There's no way you have this many clients. Like, we have to cut you off. Like, we have to like investigate this. You need to change your website. You need to do this. Like, we need to investigate it. And for like months, like we didn't get products. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the big things is they want to be able to, they want to be the ones to sell on Amazon. They thought we were selling on Amazon and stealing their sales. When really we were promoting their products on YouTube for free, and they shut us down. And for a salon, that's actually kind of an existential threat, because the margin on selling products is really that's your profit. That's your take home profit.
Yeah.
And so we had no profit, like for 3 or 4 months, we had no profit there basically.
So let's talk about that, because I think this is a learning as a business owner that you have. It's like if you're selling somebody else's products or you're building your audience on somebody else's company, you know, you're at risk. They can shut you off at any time. Like they can. Now, what kind of blows me away was if you didn't have Amazon traffic and they were still making money, they just cut off all this revenue that they were getting just because they weren't doing it. You know, it was like, oh yeah, if they wanted to go to Amazon, buy the product, they could. Like you gave awareness for it, right? But you had a process system to actually go from there. So that's quite interesting. So how did it feel like losing this revenue source? Because I mean, if they cut you off for 3 months, you didn't have anything for 3 months. Like, how did that impact you motivationally as a business owner? And then two, like, how did you start thinking, hey, how do we modify this? How do we change this?
The number one thing is we cannot trust these people. Like, we cannot put our entire business in their hands anymore. So we decided that we had to make our own products, basically from scratch, that we owned start to finish the whole time. Like it felt so bad that we were promoting their products and selling their products for their benefit. And they came back to us trying to take stuff away.
I remember just being scared too, because like when it wasn't just products that we sold to people, it was, we couldn't even get back bar products for our actual salon. So like, that's like us, we started driving to like Ulta to buy products and things like that. So it's like, it's not just shutting down like the YouTube sale business. It was actually just like shutting down our actual salon too.
Right.
And that's like, we have to figure out a new way. Yeah.
Well, and at the time, Leslie, I don't know if everybody knows kind of what you were doing at the time when all this is going on, because you're like moonlighting over here and have another job over there. Could you kind of share that? Because I think it's really important, because like on the business side, that's kind of your jam. I mean, you're building this out and you were doing it, you know, with killer hours because you had another job. So like, could you kind of explain that?
Sure. So like when Chris and I first opened, Chris ran the day-to-day at the salon, and I was working as a physician assistant in spine surgery. So basically I was working like 80-hour weeks, and then I would only come to the salon in the evenings. Like if I finish at 5, I would come like relieve Chris, like work the front desk for a couple hours, work on the weekends. Like, and it was just Chris and I running the salon for like the first 3 years. We didn't even hire a receptionist. It was just us.
5 years.
5 years? Oh God. Oh God, we try to forget that. But yeah, so for 5 years, yeah, so it was insane. And so Chris kept telling me, like when he started posting on TikTok, and then when we converted over to YouTube and we were doing these sales, he's like, you need to come over, you need to come over. But I've always been raised to be like certainty. I need like a 9 to 5. I need to make sure that I'm making money, and like entrepreneurship by itself, opening a salon was scary enough for me. So like, let alone just like, you know, like rest assured and feeling okay with just our sales. And then, you know, like when Salon Centric banned us, of course, that's like another thing that scared me. And during the pandemic, like I was our source of, you know, keeping us alive, keeping the salon open, because my job was still essential. So there was just a lot of uncertainty with the salon, just being like our own business. Then when we started working on the product line, it was too much for Chris. Like it was just like, I have no idea how he did what he did for so long with just YouTube and the salon.
It's his good looks. I'm telling you, it's his good looks. That's what it is. Like,
but yeah, so it was a lot. And he kept telling me, you know, come over, like trust it, come over. And I'm like, how are we going to pay for this? How are we going to pay for this? You know, like just my core certainty that I needed. And it wasn't until VidSummit 2 years ago.
Yep.
I remember Tom Billy got up there and he talked about, you know, like you need to be laser focused and you need to have like, you know, like your eye on the prize and stuff like that. And then after that, you did the mastery right after for a couple of days, and you told us to like write down like what our goals were for the year and like what we need to focus on. And I remember, God, why do I always cry about this? It happens every time. I remember just writing, quit my job.
And also, whenever you're ready to jump back in.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was after VidSummit, where it was like the mastery meetup, and you were telling us how much Justin meant to you, and how much Justin helped you as your second in command. Yeah. And we're kind of thinking like, Leslie wanted to be that. Yeah,
like I felt like I was like leaving Chris like hanging to dry while I'm like supporting my doctor for 80 hours a week, and like, and that's not my business. That's like, you know, like, and I remember like, I'm like, you know, YouTube is complicated, but like we're smart. Like, I feel like we could do it. So yeah, so basically, yeah, that was like on a weekend, I think, like that we finished VidSummit, like wrapped up. Chris went to Inner Circle right after. And then I came home and it was like a perfect storm. Like I had a freaking 15-hour surgery. I didn't get home until like midnight. And I remember like talking about somebody, like it was a CRNA in the OR. And I was like, oh my God, VidSummit was awesome. And I like just kept talking about where our YouTube is going to go and stuff like that. And he looks at me because he's known me for 12 years. And he's like, so when are you going to tell your doctor you're quitting your job? And I'm like, shit. Like, yeah. Like, if he could read this for me, my doctor's going to be able to tell. So that Friday, literally within a week of mastery, I quit my job. Yeah.
That was one of my favorite texts of all time. Like I've coached a lot of people, and when I found like there's like an amazing creator, there's always someone behind the scenes kind of trying to figure things out, and that's where it's like amplified 10x. And then when I found out, oh my gosh, you're working a full-time job and doing this, and you do all this stuff, I'm like, what could she do if she had all her focus in on this? And I'll never forget the text because I saw it. Can't quit. I'm like, yes. And I want to talk about that because that literally transformed your business from my point of view. And I want to talk about what's going, and I want to kind of showcase where you're at now. And then I want to kind of go back a little bit in time because I think this is going to be really valuable for people. But in the last 90 days, people would look at this graph and like, oh, okay, you're doing okay. 90 days, you got 7.8, million views. But when you go into that cycle, it's about exposure because you were doing well above, really high numbers monthly, selling somebody else's product at that time. And yet it was all about awareness and then creating people to come into your funnel, which you had. And it's like, okay, great. And then two, I want to show the returning viewer because this one, as you're well aware, I get really sensitive if the purple's not way above the blue, on this type of thing. However, there's certain type of channels that I actually think it's okay to look like this. And your channel is great on this because when I look at it is like new people are coming on because they have an issue and a problem. You're there to solve that issue or problem. And then they don't really go away. They still watch more videos because it's like, oh, I really like the Blowout Professor. I really like what you do. And so they're sticking around. It's not I wouldn't say it's like a value proposition where it's like you're entertaining, which you are entertaining in your videos or whatever. It's like, no, they're coming because they have a problem. They're sticking around because they love the community and they love what you represent. And then two, your mission from that. And so that alone is important. And so I just want to show everyone the demographics here because this one's not surprising. It's like 88% female, and then the age group with you have that 25 to 44 range, which is the most massive age group. And I want to talk about what's happening to women's hair in that age group because like you cracked the code, and I want to show like your best videos, like we'll show that as well, but you cracked the code. But what was actually going on? What was their problem that they're facing? Why were they coming to you on YouTube?
I think this is kind of getting into my manifesto here, but I believe that it's the most frustrating experience on the planet for a woman to go shop for hair products. Just say it's a physical store, there's a million different products, and none of them actually do what they say they're going to do. So it's extremely confusing and it's extremely frustrating when you end up spending a lot of money on products that just turn out to be a waste. So our whole thing was, how do we get people to stop wasting money, go straight to the products that actually help them? And that's where figuring out their hair type and then the product list lets them go straight to the answer.
Yeah, and then two, I think everyone's using the product wrong. I heard you say that several times. Like they don't follow the instructions. They're like, oh, we're just going to do it, and they're not really following what instructions on that. And I don't think he'll mind. But Justin, who's the president of my consulting company, the main parent company, his wife had an issue, and he shared your video, went through, and now she's a believer, man. I mean, she's like, man, this is so good, you know, and you solved an issue because it's more about education of what type of product with what type of hair type. And then two, you need to be able to follow the instructions. There's a reason why there's instructions. If you do more, it could do more damage. When you crack the code on that, and I mean that sincerely, because I've been to different places and they're like, oh, we just want to sell more product, and you don't really get frustrated with that. You're like, no. It's about the education, and the product is there is no perfect product yet, you know, and so like you gotta see what type of hair with what type of you know, product. But could you just take a second on that, because I want to transition after that into your most viewed videos.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally the instructions on the actual products are wrong, and they send you in the wrong direction. So it's really, I think a lot of people don't realize that the person that your wife or your sister goes to, they call their stylist. It's not actually a stylist. They're actually a colorist. So they spend all their time on color. Whereas I bought every shampoo on the market, tested every single one of them. As a salon owner, it makes sense. It doesn't really make sense as a stylist. So it's really just communicating that knowledge back to people.
And I think, sorry, Daryl, a quick part of it too is, as a woman going to a salon setting, you love getting your hair done there, but you're so confined to whatever products are there. If you go to an Aveda salon, they're like, here's Aveda. And you're like, oh, okay. And they don't tell you, they use it differently. Like what Chris said, like the instructions on the bottle or what have you, they use it differently, and they don't sit there and educate you on it. So you walk out with like 5 products that you don't even know how to use, and then you try to reproduce the results at home and you fail, and then it just ends up going under your sink, and you're like, all right, I guess that didn't work.
Yeah. So I'm going to put Justin's comment in here. My wife cried tears of sadness when her hair was being destroyed, and tears of joy when her hair was fixed because of Chris and Leslie. And it's true, because it's like what people will always do is promote where they make money. Like that's what you're going to do, right? They're like, oh, this is the products that we have, so we're going to push these products, even though we don't understand what hair type it is, because we're more colorists, not stylists. And so there's that essence. But what you want is, you want to just help people. Like that's it. Like you want them to have that confidence, like what you were saying, Leslie, when they're going into that salon as a woman, how that actually feels, and what it actually represents. And then two, I found that bad behavior is learned too. So they might have maybe not a knowledge of what's going on, and someone gave them a tip, and they're destroying their hair, and they don't understand why, you know, and so they're coming to you specifically. So I do want to go to your top viewed video of all time, and I want to break this down, and I want people to look through this as a funnel. And now that we kind of explained the process of the funnel, but this is your #1 video of all time, the secret of to fixing oily and dry hair. Okay, and so I really, really, really like this thumbnail. It's good. It's captivating. You know, there's a lot to it. And then you can see that this has gone for 666 days. So 666 going on. It's a little bit probably more than there, but that's what they're activating there. But talk about what that video represents. And then, you know, what was your strategy, you know, in the conversion aspect of it, like the funneling aspect, and then two, your content strategy. Cause I noticed a theme with your content from there.
Yeah, so it came from talking to clients, really. It came to talking to clients, talking to people in the comments and answering emails, stuff like that. That was the most common problem that we got. And through YouTube research, like we didn't find it anywhere else, but people kept asking us about that question. And it's obviously 2 problems in one. It's the oily and the dry part. So it makes you have to understand the entire process of your entire hair routine, which leads to a funnel of, honestly, by the end of that video, you'll realize that you actually need to be using less products, but the right products. So you can cut out a lot of products and just have some for fixing the oiliness and some for fixing.
So you're going to save money by doing less products, and you're going to solve your problem, right? Yeah. What did that do, like, for people trying to figure out the product type? Because it's like did you see a big spike? Because that was the whole thing from there. It was just like boom, boom, boom. That more people were coming on, and it was a constant. Amount of views coming in. It was an evergreen thing. You can see it's still climbing today after being, well over 666 days into it. Like, that's massive. But do you see massive traffic coming from that? Was that momentum that was coming from there? Like, what did that translate into sales?
Yeah, when that video came off, it translated a lot to sales, because the way to fix it is with products. So it definitely translated a lot to sales, but it also kind of lifted the whole channel. People would come in for that video, for that specific problem, and then they would go off to other videos on the channel for that. And it really lifted everything. It's obviously it's not bringing in as much sales as it used to, but it's still
it's older. It's an older, and like YouTube will, will do a lot. I mean, it will go so much, but when you have newer content, it's going to always promote newer content if it's like, to that audience, but it will always hit the other. But from a content strategy, you double down on it. So when we go to the second most viewed video of all time, similar thumbnail, right? So it's similar thumbnail. You're like, hey, I learned a little bit from it. I'm going to go a little bit more, I think this is a video that when you're going through Channel Jumpstart or whatever. Well, this one, no, this one's prior. Was this a prior video? I think this was, because this is like 700 days. So this would have been prior. So you learn from this one to do your better video, right?
Yes.
Hair care mistakes that will ruin your hair, I guess, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So same thing on this one. This is not growing as much, per se. And then let me do this other one. Maybe it was this other one that I was thinking. Yes, that it was. So you have similar type of things. This is for longer hair and stuff from there. So on this, I want to just do this last one, which is the videos of all time. And I want everyone on the live stream right now just to take a gander at the thumbnails, right? And rarely are you seeing the female's face. You get to see the back of the hair. And why does that work? Like what is actually going on here? Because it's like you've cracked the code. You're getting millions and millions and millions of views on this. And it seems to perform better in that scenario. So like, what would be your thought process on your content creation, and then also like when you wash, rinse, and repeat, pun intended on that one? So,
I mean, the main thought is to focus on the hair, and when you see a person with the face, you're focusing on them as a human instead of just the hair. So we really wanted those eyes to go straight for the hair, 100% focus on that more than anything.
And I think too, you said a little bit earlier, which is you're listening to people in your salon, you're listening to the people in the comments. And then two, if they can kind of see, oh, I have that hair type or I have that problem without seeing the person, it's more just the hair shape, right? They're more, I have a problem like that, or, oh, I'm curious on that one, right? So it kind of pulls them in even deeper, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they can see themselves within the problem. It's not another person. It can potentially be them.
Yeah, I definitely want to go more in depth on this, but I think this is the right time to reintroduce a conversation that we had, and it was when you first started to come on, and I said, you got to do your own products. And I think I even clapped like that, because like when I get really excited, I do the little clap and focus in on like that. And I know that you were kind of intimidated by it, because you're like, I've never done this before, but I know exactly what needs to be done. I remember vividly, you're like, this is a scary new world, because like we're going into this, but I know exactly what the product could be, because of what I've noticed over my industry. And then two, you mentioned another thing, which was Paul Mitchell. You brought in Paul Mitchell specifically and talked about that a little bit. And I'm like, man, this is really cool. If you can really crack the code on, getting the right product for the right type of hair and then expanding it out. So what would that be? And I actually very specific, what's the first product that you want to create? So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so the very first product was our shampoo and conditioner for fine and medium hair, and yeah, it was definitely extremely intimidating. Yeah.
Yeah, and like let's talk about that. So it was um kind of a several discussions that we had of like how to build this out, how to do it properly. So you selected the product. Why did you do that product first? Like out of all the different types of products, why did you do that one first?
Well, we were lucky that we already had sales data from before when we were selling other people's products. So we basically said, what's the most important? What's the biggest seller? And it was the fine and medium hair is the biggest category. That's 80% of America. So we decided to go for that so we'd help the most people first.
Yeah. Yeah. So you had the sales data, you could, okay, I know what would work really well in this if we were creating it. And it was like just trying to find the right product. So you just didn't white label something. You actually developed your own formula. Like go through that. Cause I don't think people realize how much effort, like if you're going to do your own formula, I mean, yeah, you can slap a label on something and good to go, but you weren't doing that, right?
No, there was no way we were going to do that. And number one, just every stylist dreams of making their own hair care line, so they have exactly what they want. So that was a big thing for us too. But yeah, we designed it from scratch. And do you remember all the days we tested it?
Oh yeah, I remember everything because even on my hair, I mean, there was probably like a solid 6 months that I didn't use anything else besides whatever like sample they sent us when we were trying it out.
It took us about 2 years of testing where we recruited our entire neighborhood, all our friends.
Yep.
We had everybody testing it. Yeah.
And I remember too, it's like, oh, we're gonna like use this in the salon and see what people think and really go through that whole process. And there's been some great content from there. So, and then two, this is where I want to talk about instead of the one-off sell. I'm not a big fan of the one-off sell because it's like a lot of work to get that one sell, and then it's a lot of work to get the other sell, and kind of building brands and beauty products right now. I mean, they're buying it where they shop, and then two, online, there's different ways that they shop. And so you found a way to take them through the funnel of, hey, let's find out the right product and then go from there. But why did you choose the path to sell the way you're currently selling? Because I think this is really, really key.
By the path, do you mean subscriptions?
The subscriptions, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have you to credit a lot for that.
Well,
I remember
you did it though, because like it was just an idea. Like you had to execute on the idea. But I think the big thing more than anything else is, if they really love the product, they're going to always order. And I probably do more subscriptions than I should because I'm like an auto order, right? Because like I love the product, I don't want to think, I just want it delivered, right? And so take me through that process of you launching the product, and I'm gonna kind of go through this too, but take me through like launching the product and that first sell, that first sell, and then the subscription and what you learned from that. Because I think this right here, I know everyone can benefit from, just thinking bigger, because this is a big thought process, and then taking actions, but how it impacted you and your business as well.
I think a big part of it is like, again, like understanding your audience and understanding the pains and problems that they're going through is that they don't want to end up at Ulta staring at 500 products and trying to figure it out. So an ease of it is the subscription, is it's effortlessly delivered to you. A big headache for Chris and I behind the scenes is reverse engineering how many squirts of shampoo and conditioner will last them that long. Like everybody thinks it's just magic that we figure it out, but that's us like opening bottles, testing it over and over again, just trying to reverse engineer how long will this last them to make sure that they're not getting the worst thing you can get with a subscription is when you get it too soon and you're like dying in all this product, or
Right.
if you're just waiting for it to come. So that took us a while, but it's just, again, like listening to your audience and figuring out the pain that they had and wanting to take that away from them.
and for the first sale, we did kind of like a launch. We didn't just throw it up on the website. We hyped it through emails. We made a video or two about it, and we blasted the email list, and we got a really good response in the first 7 days. We actually ended up selling out in the beginning.
Well, let's talk about that because I like to be cautious, and even though I'm very ambitious, I like to be cautious. And I remember, hey, how many products are you going to go with, and what's the subscription going to look like, and this whole thing. And Leslie, you're kind of like Leslie is like this amazing business person, like I don't even know if we could do it justice on this. And I remember she's all running numbers and all this other stuff of what it could look like. And I'm like, okay, it'll be interesting to see how fast you sell out. And I remember the conversation, Chris, you're like, hey, if it's a couple months, it's a couple months. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like, I don't even think you need to push that hard based on your previous sales that you've done with the other thing. And the way that I kind of work with my students and clients, I like to do toe in the water campaigns. And so this was like the toe in the water campaign for them. It was like, okay, here's how you exercise and warm up your list to get excited behind it. Here's the type of videos you can do, and we can jump on a live stream and do whatever we need to. But literally, you sold out faster than like the whole plan. The whole plan, like we didn't even go through the whole plan. We had to like stop because it's like you don't want to create so much demand if you can't fulfill on it. And so it was like the plan was there, and within 7 days you sold out. But the great news about this, and this is why I love. This is why I love subscriptions, is because what Valentine's Station says is recurring revenue. It's predictable revenue. It's like, hey, you have it. It's like the acquisition's hard, but the retention and lowering the churn rate. If they love the product, they're going to want it, right? And they've already signed up, and you have credit card on file, and it's just like, okay, let's get it going from there. But what did that do? Like as a business owner, what did that do for you to sell out in 7 days, your confidence? And then how did you respond afterwards? Like, cause like now you have it's like a well-oiled machine right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, right after that, we were upset we didn't order enough because we would have wanted to sell more.
If you want to listen to me, I'm just saying. Like,
I was scared, to be honest with you. Like, I know that everybody gets excited that you sell out, but for me, I'm like, we're on subscription. Like, they need this in 3 months. Like, we need this next order to turn around. Like, so I'm looking at the logistics and just freaking out of how we can get this fulfilled as fast as we can. It's a great problem, as people call it, but it's still a problem. Yeah, that's how I took it. But I mean, it's humbling though too. Like, it's great to feel that, like, for us, when we came out with this product, there's nothing, like, one of the things that we stand on is we've recommended these products, like, on this recommended product list for so long. We're never going to put out a product that isn't better than what we already recommended. And people understand that now. It's not us just selling our product line. It's us selling like a product that's going to help you with the problem you have.
Yeah. And in 3 years, we've only come out with 2 products. So that's,
well, but that's the important thing, is like, you're not going so fast that you're like, oh, okay, now we have like 10 SKUs. You're like literally going, we're perfecting this. We're going to make it really good. And then we're going to expand out. And then two, I don't think people realize when you do the subscription line, they have these added perks too, right? So there's a couple other things that are bundled with that. That says, oh, okay, I'm getting more, but it's like it's very on brand and it's very consistent, because like I can guarantee you, if I go into the other room over there, into my master bathroom, it's like I can see your shower cap in there. It literally, like, your branding is right there, like it is, and your product's off to the side because my wife uses it too. So it's like yeah, it's pretty amazing. And so, when did you feel like you had the first product down where you're like, okay, we got the orders, we know what it's coming in, consistently, and we're staying on top of it so we don't run out, and we're fulfilling on it. And then two, at the same time, how do you start goosing it where, you're getting more traffic, to make more sales and stuff like that?
Technically, this is Leslie's job. So
yeah,
Okay.
so I will say, I'm going to be completely honest and straightforward here, and I'm going to tell you, we don't have it figured out, because if a YouTube video takes off, so does our inventory. They go hand in hand. So I can forecast where our subscriptions will go, but I can't forecast, like, when a YouTube video takes off, then I'm like, this is great. Again, another great problem. Like, we have this amount. Now I need to reorder and get that timeline even shorter and shorter. So it's a work in progress, but I feel like we're getting a way better handle on it. And And I feel like from where we started to now where we're at, we can predict some things, but of course we can't predict it all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a catch-22 because it's like if you have too much inventory in storage in your facility, it costs you a lot to have that, right? And then it's like, what's the right balance? And you want to be ahead. But it like I've always explained to you guys and now people on the live stream, it's like you're only one video away of just popping off. Like when that happens, it can put you in a very interesting predicament. You just need to know, how do I respond? So I know how you guys respond. Big influx, you do another order. I mean, that's just the way it is. You just do a bigger order. You try to anticipate, but you know at least what your baseline sales are, right? Because you have, hey, we have this order, and we just have all these new people coming in, and so we just need to add more. And so it's a beautiful process, and I think one thing too that you guys definitely are well aware, you know, just because you have a product and just because you can get sales on it doesn't take away from the distribution of it. Distribution can be a hard process. What have you learned there? Because that right there, I think a lot of people get demotivated when it reflects badly upon them of not getting it put out in time and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, again, sorry, this is, I guess, my domain. I will say one thing that we have safeguarded and we perfected is that we will never run out for somebody who is subscribed. And that's a very big deal. Like if you're a subscriber, you are guaranteed to get that order on time. And that's something that we've narrowed down. When it comes to distribution, that is honestly the one thing I can say I can sleep at night and actually feel great about. We were lucky. We went to, it was actually when we were in Mexico last year. We talked with you guys and we got a really good 3PL out in Michigan. And
Yep.
Chris and I are the types of people, like, we're going to fly out. We're going to go meet you. Like, we're going to talk with you. And we did. And like, it's the best decision we ever made. Like I had an issue with shampoo getting there on time the other day, and it was like stuck in one area. And I was like, hey, do you mind, so I can open the store a day earlier, if I just ship it to your house instead of, because it might get there on a Saturday. And he's like, Leslie, if you want me to drive to Tennessee to pick it up, I'll do it. And I was like,
Right.
how did you get so lucky? So distribution is just like, I'm lucky because they watch our inventory. I watch our inventory. So it's not just relying on me to watch that.
Yep.
They're really good about it. So I feel like we're blessed in that area, in all honesty. Yeah.
Yeah. So when she brought up, we were in Mexico. So part of my group coaching will go, we have like three events, you know, throughout the year. There's something about meeting in person. And so, you know, taking current issues or problems and discussing it. And then there's also education. That's what we do. And so, you know, and then too, one of the things that you mentioned is like, oh, just because of that, it led to where we're at. It's like opening doors, you know, trying to figure out the right people. That's that collaboration, which is awesome.
Yeah. I spent, you know, Daryl, I spent probably 2 to 3 weeks before we went to Mexico, maybe even a month, calling different 3PLs, getting estimates, everything. Literally, like, within the first 3 minutes of us sitting down in inner circle, Justin's like, you just need to talk to, was it Braden?
Braden.
Yeah, Braden. I would walk over to Braden, and he's like, hey, blah, blah, blah. The next morning before we started our like mastery, we were on a call with Nathan in Michigan and hired him. Like, it's insane. Like 5 minutes of inner circle, like work of a month vanished.
We're good. I guess I'll do a pat on my back for Braden. For those that don't know, Braden's my ops guy. So like for operations, and he's like, he thinks in binary. So we work really good together. So it's awesome. Okay. So let's go back in depth. Like, and I think there's a lot of things that you learn, and I want to do the top videos of the last 90 days. So this is the top videos the last 90 days. We can see the theme, and when I look at this, it's like, oh, these are honestly videos that are going to drive traffic to sales and subscriptions. And then two, those subscriptions are going to be repeat customers because the product's really good. And then you have a process to educate them as well, because you're not just giving them product, you give them education with the product. And so over the course of the last couple years, you now have 2 specific products that you developed and for the subscription model. How has that transformed your business? Because now you're not selling other people's product per se to make ends meet. You're selling your own product, and you're getting loyalty and love when it comes to that. How has that changed and transformed your business?
It's been, I mean, really just having control over it and be able to make exactly what our customers want and tailor exactly like other products are never going to be exactly what you want. So these fit our exact instructions, our exact routines. And then it's also, but just in terms of margins as well, like the margins are so much better. The only problem is you have to put those margins back into ordering more inventory.
Right.
So it's not you get to keep all that money, but it's been an absolute game changer with the subscription. The security of we can pretty much say we're going to have at least this much coming in, even if the channel goes down or anything else happens. We have at least this much coming in, and
Yep.
it lowers the noise, lowers the pressure.
Yeah, I remember we were sitting in a meeting and discussing kind of vision casting, and you guys know I love to vision cast. I love to goal set, and I remember you sitting down and he says, I would just love one day, just to have my product in other salons. I want people pushing the product there. It's just not just what we're doing subscription wise, but I envision this going here. And then you kind of vision cast that. And what I love is when you know where you're going, it's easier to plan to get there, right? If you have no idea where you're going, it's like, okay, you're going to kind of hit or miss and stumble, and you might find success, but you're literally on the path. I mean, I'm hearing words of expansion and where you want to have different things. I'm like, wow, like just to even imagine having these conversations a couple years ago is like unheard of, and now you're at a place that you can do that. You're at least having a plan to go there. And so what would you say to the people that were in your situation coming on YouTube and trying to figure things out? Because that's where I want to circle back, because you learned a lot over the years of being in business as a business owner. You learned a lot about how to use video to convert, but also to grow and then to sustain. And so what advice do you give to people that are just trying to figure things out and just get momentum?
One of the biggest things to me was we wasted a lot of time just trying to figure it out on our own. And like YouTube is so big, there's so many variables, so many different topics and stuff like that, that it will really help. You can save 2 years of your life by just having somebody take you by the hand. And like your jumpstart program, like the playbook is known. The playbook is out there, and it's amazing. Like you need to run the playbook instead of trying to figure it out, a whole bunch of one-off tests. It's going to take you forever.
Well, and I think too, it's this is really important. It's like there's people that can know what to do and when to do it, but what I really celebrate is like you really dug in and did exactly what I teach. And I want to explain. It's just this: you need to understand your viewer. You need to understand exactly how they operate and what they find valuable, what they find a waste of time, kind of anticipate them. And you took so much time and effort. Even to this day, you're always surveying people. Like I realize that people think they get to some status point and like, oh, I got it all figured out. And you don't. You're like always trying to understand them better. Both you and Leslie are doing that, right? You're trying to get a little bit out of them. And it's these micro questions that lead to a really, really good opportunity for product, but also for videos. How important is that? Like, what do you do to really understand your viewer even more? I know you talked about comments, you talked about people in the salon, but what are you doing today to really understand who your viewer avatar is, and then also your customer avatar?
You want to talk about the calls?
You can. Or like.
So the biggest thing is surveys and stuff are great, but I think there's no replacement for actually calling and getting on the phone. Face to face is better, but getting on the phone with customers. So we'll get together and we'll just go down our Shopify and just call random numbers.
Yeah. The other thing too that I think that's really intuitive that helps is, for a while, Chris and I were doing all the customer service emails, and you learn so much about your product, your consumer, and they email us all the time about hair questions and things. And I can tell you that almost all of Chris's emails now have come from a conversation, or like either in the salon with a client or via email of somebody having a problem and us, figuring it out and realizing, hey, it's not just this one person. There's probably hundreds of people out there who have that problem. But I'm just going to compliment you for a second. Like Daryl, like you said, like Chris digs deep. Like every time he came back from Inner Circle with you, like he'd be like, what are our buckets? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because that's when I was a PA. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, what are our recurring videos that we need to make that do well? And like he kept coming back with like a spark. Or like when we were in Mexico and you're like, know your audience and blah, blah, blah. Like literally like you give us like a 10-minute break or something. And then we're like going through all the comments and everything. Like he just doesn't turn off. Like that's his whole thing. So you take a lot of initiative immediately and you don't quit.
Yeah, I would agree that he's that way. And like I said, I've had a lot of students, but you're really hyper fixated on the audience, and that's what I care about. And then two, I always survey people, and I love that you're like, hey, it's great to do it like a written survey, but there's so much more that you can get out of a verbal survey, like via phone with your customers. But I always like to do meetups, and the reason why I like to do meetups is because you get to have those conversations with people. And it can validate a lot. You can see, oh, what age are they? You can see how their hair is, or whatever it may be, whatever you are as a creator, you can get a lot of that. I get a lot of value out of that. And then two, I also get value out of one question that I ask them. Why do you watch YouTube? And some of them like, I only do it to just get information, or I like the entertainment, or, it's my only source. And then based off of that, I ask them an additional question, which is, what are some of the other channels you watch? And it gives me context of more of who they are and what they find valuable here, but also what they find valuable over there. And one thing that I noticed with your content, you've done that too, because I can see in your content, you kind of pepper in these moments that they're like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm all in on this, because you're really speaking to them at a deep level of where they feel like, oh, I connect to Chris, and I really live, lock, loves, love, live, like I say, I really love, live, lock, love locks.
Yes.
They love it. They love your brand, right? The L to the third power. And so they're coming back for more, because they're like, I can't miss a video. And then two, it's like they're learning something. And then two, I noticed that you have a really high engagement on shares. Like people are like, oh, they speak to me, they're saying this. If they have a problem, they're sharing it with their loved one or friend. And so it creates this feedback loop coming into it as well. So, yeah. So tell me, has that, when you get the aha moment of talking to them, or what you're doing through comments, how does that impact decision making of what to do next? And how do you elevate that on content creation?
I mean, really, so it's always a test in the beginning. We hear some feedback, we start to notice a trend, and so the first thing we do is we test it out. We try that in a video, and then we'll actually go back, and sometimes we'll literally talk to people in real life who watch our videos, like, did you remember this? And just asking if they remembered that part. See, just as you can tell in the look on their face within the first 2 seconds what they thought of it. So it starts with a test, and when we find out something that works, we try and put that in as many videos as possible.
And I think like when we meet people too, like it's so humbling. Like honestly, meet and greets are humbling. Or when people just like fly to the salon, like that's surreal to us still. Like that happens all the time. We're like, why are you coming to Fort Myers, Florida? Like this is not exciting. But they come to meet us, and it's great. But we always ask them, just like you ask the questions like why you watch YouTube and stuff. We always say like, how did you find us? Like what were you actually searching for that got you to our channel? And it's always like, oh, I was looking for a problem, like I had a really bad like styling job or something like that, and I needed like a product to fix my hair, and then I just started binging you. So like it helps us kind of figure out what is the entry level video that's getting them to us.
Yeah. Let me give a little bit of gold. This is a golden nugget for all the viewers that are on this live stream. But so many creators focus in on the title and thumbnail, and they put all their energy there. And that's where they should. I mean, you got to get the click. You have to earn the click to get the view, right? And then they really focus in on that first minute, and they do a great job. believe it or not, one of the things that I have focused on over my whole career is what is that moment, and what is that shareable moment, and I do it because of advertising. I do it because of humans' innate desire to share. Like we actually have the internal desire to share with someone that knows and can identify. So like right now, I literally got pinged 3 times on this live stream by my daughter and a few friends of videos I need to watch. You know, I did, and we're always sharing as humans, and that's kind of that human culture that's there. And so for me, I relate it back in my book, the YouTube formula. And if you haven't read it, it's a great book to really digest it. There's information below, and if you want a free book, just put in there. I think we got our mods that can send you to a link for the free book if you currently own it. And there was a moment that I saw a piece of content, and it was Empire Strikes Back, and it's when it was revealed that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father, and I freaked out. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that was so cool!" And it was so unexpected, and that was that shareable moment that I definitely wanted to engage and share with people, and I could not stop talking about it, and it was spoiling it for people. But I just wanted to get that that engagement, and so from that moment, I just like, what is the shareable moment? In it, because like there's a moment that it speaks to us on a deeper level, and that's the moment that they trigger and share. And I found with your content, you have some of your most shared videos have not one, but multiple shareable moments where you could literally see the engagement coming in because people are sharing, that moment very specifically. And they're like, oh my gosh, I know someone that we were just having that conversation. And so you go from there. And so I think all creators, when you're thinking about creating a video, it's like, come up with the title, come up with the thumbnail, come up with the hook, come up with how you're setting it up, and then ask the question, what is going to be the shareable moment that is in the video that they're going to want to share, right? It's like, it's going to connect with them on a deeper level, and they're going to go for more people that would find that valuable. So definitely look at that. And so could you go through your process, Chris? Because I think you do this naturally, and you're thinking it as okay, here's my value prop, which is great, but it's always that shareable moment. You do something that just kind of pulls them in, and it takes more effort on your behalf of preparing for that, and then it creates this feedback loop. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, so I think in the very beginning we didn't really know how to do this. We had to learn like what they actually like. But once you learn what they like, then you can kind of start to engineer the story around it.
Oh, I think we just lost you. There you go.
A lot of the time it's stories from customers, especially ones that have kind of like a disgust reflex, almost like dirty hair, dirty brushes, things like that. A lot of times people like that just grabs people, and a lot of the time we try and hint to keep that somewhere, or at least reveal that we're going to talk about that earlier in the video, like towards the intro, instead of just stashing it at the end of the video.
And I think also, so like, I think actually when we were in Mexico, you told us about the shareable moment and to like look at it, and like Chris being Chris, on a 10-minute break, we went through and we looked at all of our shareable moments. And a lot of times I feel like because we're so in it, we don't see it. Like one of them was like, oh, like we tell people don't lather. And then we like said on the video, like don't lather because like shampoo is binding to the oil in your hands as opposed to the oil on your scalp. And people just kept going back. And that was like the peak, or like that was like the shareable moment of that video. But for us, we're like, yeah, we know that. Like, so a lot of times too, we put stuff in there. We don't realize that that's going to be a big thing, which is actually kind of exciting.
Yeah. And one of the things that I teach all my students to go back is look at the video and see where the spikes are at, right? So like, if there's a spike there, there's something going on. Either they rewound it, they tagged it as a comment where they're clicking on it, going directly to that, or they're hitting share with a time code that's going directly to that. So it's like you're creating a lot of those opportunities, but it's like, oh, okay, there's something there that you need to consider. And then when you start seeing a theme, oh, here's when I do X, Y, or Z, and this happens, then it's more predictable, and it's creating that sense of predictability of getting people where they're like, oh my gosh, I find this valuable, but now I know 4 people to share with, right? And that's that whole aspect, which we love, right? Okay. Well, here's the thing. Would you both be open to answering some questions and engaging a little bit with questions here?
Yeah, we're open. I'm just gonna let the cat in because she's gonna bust down this door.
Okay. All right. Get the cat in. That'll be great. I love it how Decoy Voice is like, oh my gosh, I never knew not to lather. It's good information. I'm like, yeah, I just learned something too. so great. Okay. Since everybody's coming on, why don't you give them, like, everybody's like saying the same thing. I lather. I didn't know that's what you're not supposed to do. Blah, 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 blah. That's great. So you need to subscribe to his channel. If you have hair issues, like, he'll give you all the tips from there. We're going to stick with YouTube tips here. But before we get into the Q&A, your case study is going to go into version 2 of my book. I'm just writing version 2 of the book. It literally is screaming your case study because it's everything that I love. It's about a small, shop that is impacting the world, utilizing YouTube and your strategy. But I also want this. I would love, and this, like, you guys don't know, I was going to ask you this, but I'd love for you guys to actually speak at VidSummit. So would you be down? I know it might be scary, but would you speak at VidSummit and share this case study?
Yeah, I just got to make sure I don't cry on stage, and that's about it.
We all cry on stage. It just happens. It just does. So definitely, I'm going to connect you with Caroline, and we'll get you going on that. But it's like, who wants to see them at stage of VidSummit? Put it in the comments right there, and it's going to be so great. I can't wait. Okay. So let's kind of jump in and get some questions going on, and I'm going to give away a couple VidSummit tickets today too. So you want to stick around for the Q&A portion as well. Okay, so let's do this. What if your views live in a different country, such as India and the US? Do you need to make different personas? Like, this is coming from Salon Gaming. So what would you do if you had? I think you had 40% of your traffic was coming from the US, right?
Right.
Like, what do you work on there?
We actually get a decent amount of traffic from India. In India, just the culture really revolves around hair. Hair's a really big thing. I want to say we're 10-15% India, something like that. But really, we keep everything the same. I mean, the way that I judge this is from I get a lot of emails from people in India, and I kind of ask them, talk to them. The one problem is they have different products than we have here in America.
Yeah.
But it's in terms of storytelling and video and topics, it's literally the exact same.
Yeah, I think a big part of what we teach is, like, you categorize your hair by your hair type. So it just depends. Again, it funnels into that quiz that they take, that survey, and then they're able to figure out what products they need for their hair type. And then if they can't find them, they always just email us, and we tell them what products are compatible or most compatible there in their country.
Love it. Love it. Here's another great question. What percentage of total revenue comes from your products, and what comes from the percentage directly from YouTube, from ads?
Quick math here. Probably less than 10%. Less than 10% and more than 5% is ads. Everything else, 90 to 95% is from the product line.
Yeah. And they do pretty good on ads. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's like getting into the beauty space for RPM CPMs is pretty decent. And so I'm not gonna lie, it's like that. And being 5, 7, 10%, that's pretty impressive. And two, it's like when you don't have to worry about, the views, like, per se, is like getting a whole bunch of views. It's getting the right view, and that's what they do. They got the right view. They have the right type of viewer. And when that happens, it's magical because you get magically higher RPMs, and then you also get conversions if you have a system on the back end, which is a great question. Okay. This is about CGS, and I don't normally do the channel jumpstart questions on this call. I leave it for that from there. But as someone who's starting out in CGS, is there a way to talk to you about pre-production process? So let me just do that. Pre-production is probably the biggest focus that we focus in on in Channel Jumpstart. Like, it's like literally creating a plan. and then executing on that plan. And I think a lot of people on YouTube, they don't give enough thought of doing pre-production and then knowing the production process properly. So we go way in depth. And so I would say from pre-production to production, that's literally half a channel jumpstart, like literally half a channel jumpstart. We focus in on that. Now, where we love is how to modify. So we plan, we execute, we plan, we execute, and we analyze and adjust. So the analyzing and adjusting phase is something that I teach, and that's the other half of Channel Jumpstart for sure. So great question from there. Oh, okay. All right. Let's do this one. This is a great question. So next one. Is there a strategy for posting a short to long same day, wait for 24 hours to post a short, or to post a long again? Any advice on strategies to post short or to promote long? So do you do shorts at all?
Not anymore. We plan on it in the future pretty soon, but we've got our hands full long right now.
Yeah. And why did you steer away from shorts? Like, what was the reasoning behind it? I think you need to give context on that one too. So
yeah, so we used to get tons of views from shorts, like more views than longs, but they don't convert as well. In terms of from a business perspective, it doesn't really make sense. And I also feel like from a connection perspective, people don't get as connected to you as they would in the long form.
Yeah, and just to answer the question, you can do. We actually did a interview with Mary Allison. I would go check that out. It's definitely on the channel there. She talks about her strategy to do that. And the last couple live streams were short form going to long form. So like you can go in depth on that for sure. All right, next question is coming from one of my favorite people of all time. I just love her to death, which is HopeScope. So HopeScope has a question. What type of content or integration placement would you find that converts the best for your sales?
So we never actually do any outside integrations. We actually only promote to our own stuff. And we really, so our format is kind of like, you have this problem, we want to get you to the solution. So we show you how to get to the solution. And then it's basically, by the way, here's the products you need to get that. Go to this website to get that solution for yourself.
I'll answer it too, though. I feel like to answer what type of content, for females, the negative stuff really works for us, like mistakes, things that ruin. We did a video attacking Target products, and as a woman who loves Target, I was even like stirred by that. And hair growth videos are a big one for us. Every woman wants to know how to grow their hair. Yeah.
Yeah, I look at this Hope as a couple things. So first off, like they're more of a problem solution type of content where it's like 80% that's what it is, and then bringing the personality the other 20%. For your type of stuff, like they do integrate products and they're showing, oh, here's this, but we want you to go deeper with it, to do a survey and get the exact right product for you. And then that pulls them into kind of the sales mode where like, oh, let's try this out. And this would be a great thing. I think for you, it's like, and I look at it, the best thing you could probably do is, the beauty routine is something that they do every day. And it would be take their makeup off. Like they literally take it off. Like how do they get ready, for bed or whatever that may be at that age group. And so, having that portion of it is like integrating it some way. There's some fun things that will convert for sales, but I think it's just more, what is a common thing that most of your audience would need to do? And putting on makeup's one thing, taking it off is another, and going through that process. But there's great ways to do it for sales. And then two, knowing what converts is key. So sometimes when you have a brand that you love, which they had a whole bunch of brands that they love, it helped them define the brand that they could create too, and what integrated from there. So really great question on that. Let's do, if you have another question, just put it in there. What is the best way to implement shareable moments for educational content? Is it really having valuable information or having a meme, etc.?
I think the biggest difference between educational, everybody knows like a Mr. Beast what the ending's going to be, like what the payoff is. But in educational, you could have a lot of multiple payoffs. And really the way we do it is we like to tell it in stories. Honestly, these are things that we've done in real life. Like we're in a salon every day, like working with hair. So we'll just take the highlights of whatever happens in the salon and then just tell that exact same story with a little bit of animation. And I mean, like, everybody else was in the salon watching it too. So we know what people like and what was interesting or not. So we just take real life stories.
Yeah. Well, I would say what he said prior, which was, oh, you're not supposed to lather. And here's why. And so that is a shareable moment because we just saw in the comments, is like, wait, I always lather. Like, I didn't know that. And if it's like, I didn't know that, but you explain why, that is a valuable moment. And when there's value, education, inspiration, entertainment, motivation, that will be that shareable moment. But the best way that I look at it is it depends on what type of content you're doing. I believe that if you just look at what causes you to share and what is that moment, you start identifying that and you do it through the lens, then you start seeing it differently of what shareable moments mean. But for me, it's like, what is that moment that I've told the story well enough, I've educated them well enough that I surprised and delighted them, and that's what we want to look at. So very great, good question there. So let me do another one. Do you recommend storyboarding and detailed scripting or outlining the story points? Just curious on your process. Would love your content. I watch them when I'm having a bad hair day and need some inspiration. Aw.
We do, honestly, I probably spend 20 hours on script just to be honest. It's like, for talking head videos, it's probably about 20 hours, to be honest with you. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of scripting. And it's not just to get the video done. It's also the scripting is to reformat the ideas in better, more shareable ways that people can understand easier. So there's a massive amount of outlining, a massive amount of scripting. Absolutely.
I do remember, Chris, when you told me your process for pre-production, I'm like, wow. like most people don't go that detailed. And I'm like, but it shows it is that you care and you want to help people and you don't want to just spitball, right? You're like, no, when they come in, I want it to be through this specific process. And if you haven't checked out the channel, definitely check out. You can see it's scripted, but it doesn't feel scripted. There's this authenticity that comes through, which is great. So, all right, a very important question here. What is your cat's name? There you go.
So we are huge Marvel lovers. So her name is Jean Grey because she can turn into the Phoenix.
There we go. Oh, I love it. I love it. Let's see here. This is great. Okay, here's a good one coming from our friend Timothy Dunn. Do you find yourself running out of ideas at times? If so, where do you find inspiration?
We get that feeling of running out of ideas literally all the time. But I think you kind of have to get over the fact that you can do a video again. Like people want to hear like the topics that work, people want to hear about them multiple times. So you can definitely do that. And then at the same time, we'll look at, I like watching other YouTubers. So like watching YouTube videos from other niches and taking their ideas. Like we'll literally just rip off their idea, but it's completely different because it's hair products. Like it might be like motorbikes, it might be like something crazy, and in our niche, it's completely new.
Well, let's not say rip off because like you're not really doing that. If you looked at both videos, you wouldn't even tell them that they're the same video. So let's be clear there. So it inspires you, right? It inspires you to create. And one of the things that I found, and this is always surprising. When I coach someone and they come on, I ask them, how do they watch YouTube? And there's so many people that watch a ton of YouTube, but they don't watch YouTube the way that I want them to watch YouTube. And as a creator, you want to watch YouTube as a student. And I don't mean going on to, Nick Nimma's channel or my channel to do it. No, it's like take a really cool channel and ask why does their audience respond so well to it? Like, what is their storytelling process? Why did they choose that thumbnail or that title? What's going, in depth on that, right? And oh my gosh, Bikes and Beers says, I'm getting inspired. Did he say motorbikes? like that's so funny. But it's like, going through and watching YouTube the right way, which is, hey, there's something about this video that people love. What is it? And going and defining that is it's great. It's like that's what we're trying to do. And then too, don't get me wrong. I think, YouTube education's really important, but really it's simple. It's like, get people to click. If you can get them to click, then you got to get them to watch and watch longer. Okay, great. And then you got to bring a value proposition. Okay, great. And then after that, all we need to do is get them to watch another video. There's the YouTube formula right there. That's it. And I think we complicate the process, but there's something you can learn. And I think too, by getting inspiration by another YouTuber is great, but it's like, how do I make it my own? And that's what you've done. Like, you've literally done, you've done that process where you're like, get inspired by all these different creators and okay, what can we do and make it our own, which is great. So
I was going to say one thing too, Daryl, is I think that again, it's back to audience. Like, there were months where Chris and I did not want to make the same videos in a bucket. We're like, another hair growth video, another whatever. And we just have to remind ourselves, it's not for us, it's for them. Like, it's for the new person who lands on our channel and hasn't seen that video yet, or hasn't heard it a different way. Yeah.
That's a very powerful statement that you just said. Is you're creating videos for the potential viewer, so that they're just discovering us, that we're potentially discovering you, and they have no idea that you made 167 videos. Like, they're only seeing that one video first, and they can go deeper. And so don't be afraid to really wash, rinse, and repeat similar type of topics. And even though that you've done it 2 years ago, doesn't mean they're gonna ever see it. So you could do that. It's like, how do you make it better is what to look at. Another one, do you have any concerns about incorporating artificial intelligence on YouTube by other creators who are your competitors? Do you plan to integrate AI into your channel, and how?
I really, anytime it's my face or her face, we really want it to actually be us. Yeah. But I think there's definitely value in, like, when we tell stories about our clients, maybe using AI to do the clients, or maybe even, especially like we like to do animations when we talk about the science of hair a little bit, using AI to have like visualizations of like the actual science, microscopic science. I could definitely see room for that. But I really want to be, I hope I don't regret saying this, but I really want to be, if you see our face, that's actually us every single time.
Yeah. I love AI. I'm not going to lie. I love it a lot. There's so much that's going on. It's a very disruptive technology. It's going to disrupt the world in so many different ways. And then, just mark my word, like, YouTube is using AI. They've used AI longer than any other platform for their algorithm. And then two, the CEO of YouTube made it quite clear that AI is going to be used. Like, these tools are going to be given to creators to use, and they're developing a lot of the stuff, and he's doing a roadmap from there. My thing is, if you're looking to use it to replace you, humans connect to humans, and you can't take that human emotion out. And you can use it as a tool to help you speed up, amplify. But realistically, it's humans connect to humans, and not saying that technology wise with this type of content isn't on the verge of coming out where you can't tell. I do believe there's a lot of that, but it's just more about really understanding the needs and providing that value, and then making it more interactive. And so I'm here to tell you, there will be an AI apocalypse, not where they're going to come destroy the earth. Maybe that could happen. I don't know. You never know. You never know with AGI and stuff like that. But it's like, with this, I think there will be YouTube saying, oh, we're going to either demonetize these certain type of channels because they're abusing it. It's going to happen. Like, it's written on the wall. Okay, so just use it tools. But not to replace is what I would do for sure. So, but that's a great question. It's awesome. Okay. Let's do, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in there. I think we had another one. I'm trying to go through it. All right, here we go. How would someone as a new channel analyze and adjust if their current videos have no peaks? CGS in 18 days. Can't wait. Well, congratulations. You're going to be a part of, you're going to learn all this. But what if you were starting a new channel? Maybe take us through the process of what you would do, how to analyze videos and your content strategy. What would you do, Chris?
I think a big part of starting out is you're actually practicing. You're not trying to get 10 million views on your very first video. So like get the content out there, try new things, keep experimenting with new things, and eventually you will find them. Or you can even look, I mean, this is, Daryl taught me this, but you can look at other people's content and see what go in the comments. Maybe you don't have the retention graph. You can look in the comments of other videos in your space to see what's also popped off.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And then we got some other cool people on. Look at this. McCann dogs instead of McCann cats are on here. Are you publishing videos to a core audience versus publishing videos to more of a general audience for your channel? What's the difference in those videos? That's a really good question.
We're really doing it for the general audience, to be honest with you. The core audience is, they're kind of with us anyway. You know, we will do some videos, like the more technical it gets, the more it hits that core audience.
Yeah.
But we like to keep it so that normal people who are just coming in, that they can get it too. I don't think it needs to be super, super technical, but we will have little bits where we do get really technical, where the new people may just like glaze over for 2 seconds, but the core people will be like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So it's more just put it in there a little bit.
Like I can't remember where I did this training. I know we just did it recently, like on a webinar, but it's like the focus in on potential viewer versus new viewer. Like I would rather put a lot more attention on potential viewer. Like 80% of my videos would go to someone that is so general that they're just going to discover me for the first time, and then 20% into that returning viewer. And that's that new viewer that's watching more than one video. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about your core and hardcore? I believe the core and hardcore comes through those little moments in the video where they're like, oh my gosh, I love it when he does this, or I love it when she does that. And then the hardcore person is like, they don't ever want to miss a video. They know exactly what video you said 8 years ago, and they're going to put it in the comments, because they've been there since 8 years ago, right? It's just like so great. It's awesome. All right, here we go. Bikes and Beards, one of our favorite people of all time. What is your filter process of deciding which ideas get made and which ones get dropped?
I love this question. I mean, a lot of times we just make it, to be honest, and then we drop it in editing. Like we're like, oh, this is not landing. Like this is very bad. But when you script, what do you do as far as?
I mean, we start. We kind of like, if I like to just throw things against the wall sometimes. Sometimes I'll just start a video and start outlining it. And if I like it, we'll keep going. And if I'm like, I don't see how this goes where I want it to, then we'll just drop it and move to the next idea.
Yeah. Sometimes even during like the actual video, like process, like we're recording and I'm just looking at Chris and he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I don't even understand what you're saying right now. And he's like, what? Did you not read this part of the script? Like, why didn't you tell me? And like, we'll argue and then it'll either make it or not.
Yeah, scrapping videos is hard. I mean, if you look at your process, if you did 20 hours of prep beforehand, then you shot the video and then you're editing it and you're like, oh, this just doesn't land. That's brutal. I like that's brutal. You know, I'm not gonna lie. It's brutal. But that is the difference between someone that's going to succeed or not, you know, is knowing it's not going to hit. You either go back to the drawing board and do the areas of improvement to get clarity or not, because it's like, if it's not going to bring value, it doesn't matter how much time you put into it. You can't put it out there. Like you need to, like, how do we make it better? And that's that analyzing and adjusting phase. And I've seen some people put off content where they've had all the content shot and they're like, oh, I just don't know how it's going to work. And so it sets. And then one day they wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and says, I know exactly what we need to do. And they make it. And it's just those little moments. It probably took them, you know, a minute or two, you know, and it's like, it's so amazing. It's so amazing. And I think that, when they do that, that's usually their highest performed video, because it's like, it was not that the idea was bad, it just didn't execute really well, and they were just missing that one little thing that could pull them in. So
we
if you
scrapped
scrapped a video, congratulations, that's what we love. Okay, Mr. Coben is asking, what is one metric you focus in on to understand your audience?
I mean, I think Daryl, you know numbers much more than I do, but at the end of the day, it's always taken in step over time. Obviously, with click through rate and over that, but really, it's comments. Comments for us tell us. I don't know. There's something about videos that get a lot of topics, that get a lot of comments. When we do those topics again, they get a lot of views. It just works. Comments actually do matter for us, even though it may not matter for every channel. Daryl, you could probably talk more about that. But for us, the ones that get a ton of comments really quickly turn out to be really good videos.
Yeah, I would say that's my number one metric that I look at is it is how engaged is the audience, and it depends on the viewer, because like if you're making kids content, you're not going to have comments, so you don't get that. There's other metrics you need to look at. But when we're talking about, if I was Chris and I owned that channel, I would say comments is the lifeblood of doing it. Now, the difference would be is a lot of you would say, oh, if they comment, I'm going to make a video on it. And that's not what Chris does. I just want to make it clear. He does not do that at all. It's just more, it's contextually, I get to know this person better that I'm trying to make videos for. And that would be a segment, or maybe even a video idea, but we need to go through our process, which is this something it is? And so that he'll start having conversations. And that's where picking up the phone and calling his customers is a very big deal. Talking to people in the salon is a very big deal. Talking to people in the comments is a very big deal. And now he has something to bring up. And if it's a common thing, he's like, oh my gosh, that's great. This will be a great video. So, oh wait, I clicked on the wrong one. Yes, McKen Dogs is a jump starter. Yes, they are. They're amazing. Let me go through. Let's hit one more question. And what I want to do is give away some VidSummit tickets. And so if you're on the live stream right now, you have a good opportunity to come to VidSummit for free. We'll get you a ticket. Let's do this one. Is scripting something you with Jumpstart only, or do you do general script templates, or how do you start before joining, or how did you do it before starting Channel Jumpstart?
Actually, I don't use any templates at all. Really, it's more of a logical sequence more than anything. I think that there's a lot of truth to starting with a problem, which is like hanging over your head, and then you go farther into that problem, and then at the end of the problem, you show the solution. So it's always keeping the tension of whatever the problem is, and then having a solution to it at the end. That's kind of our thing as more of an entertainment channel. But there's no template that's really that I use for that. That's just natural.
Yeah. So Channel Jumpstart, we don't give templates. We don't. We don't like to go into that realm. What we talk about is what makes good content and the areas that you need to do to really weave your content in. Storytelling is really important to us. And it doesn't matter if you're an education channel or not. And so we really focus in on how do you get them to click, and then how do you get to set up the value of your video, and then how do you pull them through the content so you get really great retention, but also provide that value. And so we go way in depth on storytelling, and then knowing how humans respond to content. And we nerd out in that section. There's just no ifs, ands, and buts about it. It's so intense, but it is what they are using. It's kind of like the framework. And then they know, oh, okay, I need to set up this story in the salon to have this payable moment, payoff moment in there. So really, really great question. So let's do this. So I can't tell you how excited I am that we have you guys coming to speak at VidSummit. I want to talk about VidSummit, and then I want to show a video, and then we'll give away some tickets, and then I'll take two more questions after that. So you want to stick around. What would you say? what would you say was a moment for you at VidSummit? Like why should someone come to VidSummit? What did you learn from it? And why people should at least consider coming? Like that's a great question.
I think it's really hard to understand the difference, but when you're there in real life around other people that are farther ahead from you, it's one thing to watch a stream like this and be like, oh, you're like kind of disconnected. But when you're there in real life, it's so much realer to you. And honestly, that's what you saw when you came to VidSummit.
Yeah, I think even just like looking at the schedule, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on in every room. Like there's so many different like jewels or things that you can learn from. Just going to different talks and just learning specifically like what your constraint is and actually getting answers on that. I just feel like we even went to like one of the thumbnail roasting ones just so we could get better at thumbnails. Like there's just so many different options. But I think like the value you get out of VidSummit is the things that you don't expect to learn. Like in all honesty, it's just the conversations that you have with people and just meeting people who are like you and being in that space of people who are like-minded. Because when we come back here, it's just us. We talk to each other. There's not, big YouTubers around us here in Fort Myers, Florida that we know of that we've connected with. So it's being in that space and getting that at mastery and inner circle and all of that is just continuous ideas flowing.
Yeah, I would say the reason why I started VidSummit all those years ago was I wanted people to see the business aspect of content creation. And I believe that's where longevity really is. And if you heard earlier in this interview, I mean, it's literally like 8% of their revenue is coming from YouTube ads. Everything else is coming from the things that they've built, and using YouTube very specifically. The key to all this though would be, okay, now knowing this, what else? And it's more, where's a place where people know exactly the problems that you're facing as a business owner, right? That is VidSummit. Like having creators help other creators around things that they learned. It's just like they get it. They understand the pains that it is to come up with an idea. They understand the pains that it comes up of meeting that deadline or fulfilling on that. And so that's what it's all about. What we're going to do is I'm going to play a little bit about VidSummit 2025. It's coming up in October 7th through the 9th. It's in Dallas, Texas. And we're going to be announcing a lot of stuff in the next couple of weeks about VidSummit. It's going to be our biggest VidSummit yet. We already sold out of 2 hotels. I just don't know how that works. Like we're not even close, and it's just we're getting there. Let me play a quick video, and then we're going to give away some VidSummit tickets. Come on now. I just want to go to VidSummit right now. That's all I want to do. Oh my gosh. So this is what we're going to do. For those that have been on, we are going to give away 2 tickets right now. And the first one is Real Life with Ali. Ali, you are coming to VidSummit. Really excited about this. What you want to do is either go to IG or X and send me a note, and then I'll connect you. Or if my moderation team's here, they're going to do it. But I got a copy of this, so we know exactly that you're coming. Really excited about that. Next one is Magic Flying Potato. Okay, look, listen. Like anyone that's like doing a 5-hour edit and comes in to listen a little bit for a good break, it was worth it, man. Like I can't wait for you to be at VidSummit. We want you there, very, very specifically, and can't wait to have you be a part of VidSummit. And once again, for everybody else, VidSummit, it happens every year. It's our 12th year, believe it or not. And it's going to happen in Dallas, October 7th through the 9th. Got a lot of big things planned. Really can't wait for you to hear. We got some really, really amazing people coming back, but also some new speakers that I've been waiting for a very long time. I guess we proved worthy to get some of these speakers as keynotes, which I'm really excited about. So this would be super great. So now, just as we end, I want you to go in and just like help give your last bit of advice. Like these people have been on the call for a little bit of time, and what is that advice? What is that golden nugget that you want to share with them when it comes to your business? Because your business is of course a product business, but you're also educating people, and you're leading them down the path. So what advice would you say would be valuable for everyone that would be on this live stream?
I think the way we've approached it that's helped us more than anything else is just respecting the game more than anything. Not trying to act like you're too good for anything. You're like, oh, I shouldn't have to put in all this effort, or I shouldn't have to redo this script. Honestly, like everything you do, the work is never wasted. Like if you have to throw a script out, you still got all the retainings, all the learnings from that script. YouTube is not about blowing up in a week. Like sure, that happens to some people, but just the consistency, staying in there, making sure you do things the right way, making sure you treat the audience the right way, give them what they want, treat them well, communicate with them. You don't really need a secret. You just need to do the right things for a long time and respect the game, honestly. What would you say?
Mine is secure your channel. Mine is a weird one, but mine is secure your channel. Go through the extra measures, go through the headaches of getting like 7 different password protection things and a security key. Like you can literally lose your channel like that. Chris and I had crypto hack our channel. We lost it for almost 2 weeks. And when you quit your job and this becomes your job, it's really scary to lose what your advertising and your marketing is through YouTube, and just your sense of connecting with your community. So
yeah. Sounds like we need to do another interview with Liron, because like he can scare the heck out of anyone. It's like nobody listens to him before. It's like they go, "Hey, yeah, I hear you. What you're saying, it'll never happen to me." And he always gets the people that are like, "Hey, you could have solved this issue. Like I was trying to tell you." I was trying to tell you this would come. And so, yeah, it sounds like Liron needs to come on a live stream here soon. So we love Liron. I want to end on this, and this is what I look for. If you want to succeed, this is what I look for, right? I want someone passionate about what they're doing. That's what Chris represents. Like there's not a close second. He's very passionate about what he wants to create, which is he wants to solve problems for the viewers. He wants to solve problems for his customers. He wants to solve problems for people that he meets. And realistically, he's dreaming big. I think a lot of people would get intimidated by bringing their own product line. But like, this is the only way that he can do it. It's like he created this formula to help people, and he's showing people. And sometimes the people that he's helping, it doesn't make sense with his product because they don't have that hair type. But one day he's going to have a product for them, and he won't leave them, behind. You know what I'm saying? And so I can tell you that passion and vision and drive, and then two, having quality, like, you know, wanting to create quality, be willing to scrap something's a very big deal. And that's what I love about Chris is he's always thought big. And the best thing they could ever have done was bring Leslie on his side, because her strengths outweigh his strengths in the other side of the business. And so it's like this very collaborative thing. And I feel like if you're really going to do big measures, you got to have team members and people that really are strong in areas that you're weak. And that's what Chris has done. And so really, really grateful, you know, for this. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that Magic Flying Potato almost fell out of his chair because now he has VidSummit tickets. But for me, I'm grateful that you're willing to come share with everybody at VidSummit, because there's so much to the story that could be better represented at VidSummit and really help people, which is dream big, have a plan in place. And that plan can really become, you know, pretty much 95% of your revenue off of YouTube by using YouTube. That's what it's all about. So really grateful for all of you. Grateful for those that have stayed on with us. And really, the reason why we're doing these interviews is I want to inspire you to create content, but create a business around this, because the opportunity is great. It hasn't gone. I'm not afraid of AI. I'm not afraid of all this other stuff. This is the best time ever to really make it on YouTube and really leverage it. But you have to have a system and a plan, and that's why we come on. I want to just inspire you by that. So guys, thank you so much. Chris and Leslie, thank you so much. And we'll see everyone on the next one. Bye,
Thanks.
everybody.